Good morning and welcome to Friday with the Rev. I'm Greg Johnson. I'm the president and CEO of GJP International, and I am thrilled to have you with us today on November 2nd. Now, I don't normally say the date, but today it's special, and I want to thank you for that too, because today happens to be my 72nd birthday. And what a wonderful way to begin by talking to so many of you all over the world. I awakened this morning to a whole bunch of emails and messages on the computer. What a glorious way. And I'm so grateful to be talking with all of you. This past week, I had the great fun of having several conversations and messages in from Helen and Murray in Brisbane, Australia. Now, they watch on Saturday morning over there, but it was wonderful to hear the work that they're doing in family caregiving for a gated community of 150 people. And they join us each week. So they are one of many. So thank you, Helen. Thank you, Murray. God bless, and I've sent a box of some more booklets on to you. And that's something that's available for each and every one of you. I can be contacted, and I'll do that now at the beginning of the broadcast. There are two ways you can get in touch with me that are probably the most convenient. One is through Emblem Health, the wonderful health and wellness company here in New York, who 18 years ago, nearly 20 years ago, invited me to create their Care for the Family Caregiver program. And one of the items that we wrote, I show it to you each week because it's been used by thousands of people all over the world. Care for the Family Caregiver, a place to start. And it's available in English, Chinese, and Spanish. I have the PDFs, I have hard copies. And you can get copies by simply emailing me at gjohnson@emblemhealth.com. And then also, you know that I am on staff over at the wonderful Marble Collegiate Church here in New York City, and you can reach me via the church at gjohnson@marblechurch.org. And I honestly think I got all of those correct today. It's wonderful to see you. It's wonderful to share each week a particular thought in caregiving. And one of the things I just wanted to quickly restate, because we have new people who join us, one of the most basic questions all of us get asked: what's a caregiver? Or a carer, as we are known in the rest of the world. In America, we use the word family caregiver. And as I jokingly always say, no American could ever get, especially a New Yorker, could get two R's in one word. So we'll never be carers. We just get hung up on those R's. But we are family caregivers. And one of the easiest ways is to say they're often the silent patients. They're those who care for loved ones and family, the unpaid family caregiver. And we need to remember, and it helps us when we talk to others, to simply say that the healthcare systems of the world are really like a three-legged stool. One leg, someone is sick physically, emotionally, or spiritually. And usually it's all together. We know that from our own lives. The second leg is the professional caregiver, from the highest paid doctor to the truly underpaid, and that's true in so much of the world, underpaid professional home attendants. It also includes the clergy, researchers, insurance companies. All of these are part of the professional caregivers. But the third leg, and remember, the stool cannot stand without all three legs. And that third leg is you and me, the family caregiver. Those of us who care for those in our lives, whether it be family of origin or families of choice. We've talked about both of those. So I'd like to just give you a little tip, because it's one of the most common questions. And I'm thrilled when people ask the question, what is a caregiver? Because we can get confused between a family caregiver and the home attendants. People will think, oh, I've hired these people. And yes, that's wonderful. But you still are the family caregiver, and you have responsibilities that come with that designation. And always, I urge you, name it and know its many faces. That is family caregiving. Now, this morning, I wanted to begin our broadcast. I received my next 2 months booklet, morning booklet from Unity. It's a wonderful book called The Daily Word, and it's known all over the world. But it had a poem at the beginning. And it was such a joyous poem that I wanted to share it with you. And we're going to talk about dance in a little bit, but it's entitled The Dance. Never does the river ask if it can join the sea. Somehow it seems to know it will always be welcome, that in their essence they are one and the same. And so the dance continues as one becomes the other over and over again. So with us, when we go within to pray, spirit joins spirit, and all that's left is love. What a powerful, powerful poem. I love it, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I. Now, I said dance. This past Friday, I had the privilege of joining many of our fellow congregants from Marble Collegiate Church at the Dixon Place, which is a lovely theater space here in the Lower East Side in New York. One of the great joys of New York is we have lots of theater and expressions. And one of our very talented members, a dancer and choreographer, Chris Bell, did a fabulous, fabulous dance piece. And it was really about life. And it was very appropriate for our conversation this morning, where I'm going to talk about support. And I'm going to share with you probably my favorite prayer of them all. But in this dance piece, he was really saying to all of us through this exquisite, exquisite experience, it's not the fear of death. Death will come to all of us. But it's the fear of not having lived. Now, in the Western cultures, we're not good at talking about death. That's often something that's very, very difficult for us. In other cultures, it's much more included. But I urge it, because so often when family caregiving issues come up, and not all family caregiving issues end in a death situation, but it can often be part of it. And it's important for us to look that in the face. But it's equally important to realize that as we understand the finitude of life, we can make life so much more precious. We can care for our lives and bring enormous potential into them, make them far more vibrant. And so I want to share with you one of the prayers that has been so helpful to me over the many, many years. It was a prayer I prayed regularly when I was caring for Joe, my late husband, but particularly as we were getting toward the point where I knew death was going to be very soon. And I really didn't know where to turn. We've all been there. And I remember standing in the living room, tears in my eyes. I have this prayer framed, holding that prayer and praying it to myself and to God. And so I want to share it with you this morning. Let us take a moment. O Lord, support us all the day long until the shadows lengthen and the evening comes, and the busy world is hushed, and the fever of life is over and our work is done. Then in your mercy, grant us a safe lodging and a holy rest, and peace at the last. This precious prayer has blessed my life so many times. As you stand not knowing where to turn as a caregiver, find rest in this prayer and strength for the changes that so often follow. Follow that point of culminated frustration. Know that point wherein a radical change occurs. Thank you, precious Lord, for such special prayers, into which the circumstances of life breathe new meaning and greater understanding. Help us to treasure and to share with others the joy, the peace, and comfort that certain prayers have given us. May we bless as we too have been blessed. In your holy name, precious Lord, take my hand. Amen. And Marian shares these affirmations with us. Blessed are my hands, for they are the hands of God. Blessed is my heart, for it beats with the love of God. Blessed is my mind, for it is filled with the intelligence of God. The Spirit of Christ abides in me. I am whole, perfect, and free. And from 1 John, if anyone has material possessions and sees a brother or sister in need, but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in that person? Dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth. I love that scripture passage because it's truly what caregivers are doing. Family caregivers don't give sermons, they live sermons. And that's why when you see a family caregiver taking an action, thank them, name it, pass it on. And I say to each of you who is a family caregiver, may God bless you. Thank you for what you are doing. And may you be blessed for it always. Often, the only thing that we can do is to give the gift of presence. This past week, after the horrible shootings in Pittsburgh, presence has been one of the things that many of us has found to strengthen ourselves in our sadness and our confusion, and to be supportive through prayer of those who are mourning. I've had the privilege of attending several incredible services, ecumenical services, where people of all faiths came together. One particular one was over at the Sutton Place Synagogue, but there have been those at Central. There have been public events down at Trinity and Wall Street. There have been public events in various parts. People coming together to be present and to pray. And one of the points that I like to share, because it's been very powerful. As many of you know, I have been blessed here in New York. I came out here originally doing musical study. I had a very musical background. And so part of my life has been that I was privileged to do a great deal of singing in churches and in temples. In fact, I spent 10 years at Temple Beth Or out in Brooklyn, a blessed experience. And the one prayer that always touched me deeply, and it has Jewish people all over the world, it's the mourner's Kaddish. Death has occurred, and the Kaddish is said again and again and again. But it's not a prayer about the dead. It's not a prayer about souls or any of that sort of thing. It is a prayer that turns to God, blesses the hallowed name of God, and strength is found. Now, it's very interesting to me. We talked a couple of weeks ago about when difficulties come, let's not dwell on the difficulty, but let us see God covering it all. Let us focus on the divine. Turn our mind to God as you understand that word. And I'm always one who includes that. I am To quote Reverend Jackie Lewis, mine is not a ministry of conversion to a particular faith. Mine is converting people to love, however your tradition may be. But going to the divine and seeing the divine, if you want an interesting experience, Google Mourner's Kaddish, Kaddish, and read an English translation. You will be blessed, you will be educated, and take it with you in your heart. Now this morning, I'm going to conclude. It's a birthday day, and I loved a reading that was from, once again, the wonderful booklet entitled, I have to put my glasses on for this, Spiritual Truths by Rabbi Joseph Gelberman and Dr. Dorothy Kobach. I love this paragraph, and so I'm going to conclude with that this morning. Now is never about to happen. Now never leaves. It is always here. Like a clear canvas, it awaits our painting. So let's keep painting together. My dear friends, God bless. Have a wonderful week. And thank you for joining me for Friday with the Rev. God bless and a wonderful week to all of you. Take care.